So it's almost like that's what someone like that needs, to program you hand to them and be like, do this.
Right.
Get stronger. You know what I mean? It's almost like go all the way back to your basics.
Yeah.
And remember to love you versus gravity.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 51 of It's Just Bodybuilding. Of course, Dusty Hanshaw and myself, Big Ron Partlow. And today we got Coach's Corner, all your Instagram questions on It's Just Bodybuilding. Dusty.
It's a good word, man.
I got some good questions for today.
Do you?
I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
I got a bunch early and I haven't looked at them, so this is going to be like a...
Oh, I looked at your post and I was like, oh shit, like this is all we need.
well, I did see that you've got some work to do. I almost sent you one of them, but since it was in the post, I thought you might see, since you got to build a band and you need a name for this band, I thought he might need a minute to figure this out.
Funny. That's funny. Okay. Let me just find my questions. So what's new? Tell me what's cracking. So gyms are closed. So you're back into your exile secret workouts.
Yeah, it's been, it's crazy. So here, the gyms were open. Gyms were closed. The one of the big gyms down here, Mountainside Fitness, sued the governor over this. Ended up basically getting tossed because, of course, the state was like, fuck off. Well, then a different judge came in and overturned it. So now the governor came back and appealed the overturn and had all these other, basically, because what ended up happening, he didn't think it all the way through. He's getting sued personally by businesses now.
Right.
So he went in and reconfigured some things, put in 3 different appeals, one of them being that he is untouchable. The problem is he's utilized his power and been caught. So, for example, down here, all the salons and things are open, okay, which doesn't seem overly crazy, except for the fact that his wife owns one.
Right.
Bit of a issue. So, anyways, when he appealed it, it goes back to the same judge, and they can do what they want. It literally, as soon as it hit his desk, he's like, no. Fuck off, and tossed all the other shit. So it does not mean that the gyms are open right now, but it does put him back in his place. And then immediately then, because obviously I know a lot of the gym owners, he got hit with about 7 more lawsuits that day. So he's having a bad day, and he deserves the bad day. So it makes me happy. The gyms here are all on lock. But on a bright note, besides the fact that I still go to the gym, Hammer Strength, it's giving me some smoking deals, and I've been buying equipment. Yes, so...
Very smart of them to give you some deals.
Brand new hammer shoulder press. Brand new hammer, the wide pull down, the straight up and down one.
Yep.
Regular seated row. Yep. They have a new belt squat. Had to have it. Got that. Never even used it, seen it, whatever. Got it. So yeah, I think like 5 pieces.
Okay.
And we're talking like within a couple $100 of what I can find them best possible used.
Right.
And found another spot up by my house that's 3,500 square feet that might become a home for all these toys.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been an exciting couple of days. Usually when you say what you've been doing, I'm like, nothing.
Yeah.
We've been doing stuff.
Yeah. Fuck, man. It's come to that, eh?
Yeah. It's time. I'm like. Well, that's the thing is, it was like, okay, I guess
you either spend the money on
happen again. So
yeah, you either spend the money on leaving the state, or you spend the money on setting up a gym.
Yeah, have your own place, and I've always threatened to do it. And fortunately, actually, the guy that owns the gym that I've been going to, he's just all over it. He's like, I'm in. Let's do it.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna bang this thing out. Only thing I'm waiting on is I got to get with you because I want to get the prime extension and the lying leg curl.
I will set you up with those guys for sure.
Yeah, because I need those 2 pieces are like musts for me.
Yeah.
I don't know those, both of them. I know we haven't talked about the lying leg curl, but I love their lying leg curl, the plate loaded.
Yeah, I only used it once and it was really good.
Yeah,
and I set it up a certain way and I loved it.
Yeah, it demolishes me. And I always laugh because you know the size of the pins. I'm like, who the fuck uses this?
Yeah.
I need like 4 plates and I'm just getting roasted. I'm like, I would like to pay to see someone fill this thing. But yeah, those two things I want to have for sure.
I see so many guys fill up the prime extension, but they barely get 90-degree bend in their leg, and their ass comes off the seat when they drive.
Yeah, so they're not actually running it.
Yeah, they can't keep their ass right down in the seat, and they can't fold their feet underneath properly. So they're losing a bunch of range of motion, but they'll fill up one of the arms. And
which takes away the entire point of that thing, though, because that stretch, for whatever reason, I don't know what they did different, but no torque on my knee. I can let that thing stretch behind me. No issue, you know. But you remember we trained together. I didn't go that heavy on that thing.
No. You only went a plate and a half heavier than me.
Yeah, and that thing's like still brutal.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's hit some cues, man.
All right, you jump first. I hadn't turned my phone on yet. All right, go.
So, okay, let's start with a good one here. Okay.
What's the 42? Jesus.
Let's first of all, when are your next round of shirts and hats coming?
Those are this
sell
week.
Some shit.
Those are this week.
Okay, this week. And when are we getting our shirts, Dusty?
Our shirts. We should probably get those done too.
We didn't
even do the logo yet. Yeah, people have been asking about those. I think when I get my West Coast Iron hat, those shirts will magically appear.
Oh, well. Okay, so I got to ask this one because from my training partner, he's going to kill me if I forget. And I would like to leave it till later, but if I leave it till later, that's when I forget.
Yes.
So if you had to sit on a 12-hour flight, but you must sit in a piece of gym equipment, which one do you pick?
Ooh, let's see. I like how, he's really thought this through, huh? Jesus.
The funny thing is I've thought of several pieces.
You started running through them. If I was going to sit. All right, what are your pieces that you thought of already while I'm picking mine apart?
Well, I think I'd probably choose a big leg press. You know, you can like lay back, put your head back, probably nap. You got room for your arms so they don't like fall back. You know, you're not sitting on a narrow bench. I think that'd be pretty favorable.
What about that company? I don't know what the brand is, but you'll know what I'm talking about. They're like a generic hammer strength, but all their pads are way too cushiony.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that knockoff hammer strength. That's like
Lifetime has them.
Pillowy.
I remember the first time I sat down, when I pushed against the bar, the first thing that happened is I went down
an inch.
And I was like, great for sofa, not so much for
leaking energy everywhere. There's no transfer of force.
So whatever brand that is, probably anything they make will be fine because they apparently are far more concerned with comfort.
Yeah.
Let's see. And actually, the hammer strength unilateral leg extension. And the reason I like that is I got bars to grab. I can put my feet on top of the extension part if I want. I can let them dangle. I can lay them down like I'm on a Harley, just kind of on my ankles.
Right. You almost have a bit of a lazy boy there.
I've got some comfort. Adjustable back.
Okay. Adjustable back.
Sounds like I'm selling a car now. Don't forget, we also have.
Right.
Oh, here's an important one. Ron, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Wasn't this a Seinfeld episode?
It's a valid question. It's
It's bread and meat.
Yeah,
it's bread and meat.
Technically meat. Lips and assholes.
Well, yeah, lips and assholes. Here's a question for you, Dusty. Would you still eat a hot dog? Like, is there a situation where you'd scarf down a hot dog?
Yes.
Like if you went to a Chicago Cubs game or so, I don't know what fucking team.
Yeah, for sure. I like shitty food at shitty events for sure.
Yeah.
Where it's terrible. Yeah. Or I have actually fallen victim to a Costco Polish dog before.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah, where I'm just fucking done. And I think usually what happens is I'm with someone and I'm getting moody. And the woman is like, hey, I got you these, eat these. And I'm like, okay. It's like a Snickers, basically.
Yeah,
I'm fucked. It's time. I hammer those things down, but I am deathly afraid of what's inside of them.
Yeah, I haven't had. Oh man, I don't remember.
Yeah. So that's not your favorite sandwich.
Yeah, no, I. You know what? I think I had a Smoky at like a Fit Foods barbecue when I was working at Mutant.
A Smoky, I fucking love it.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But like, fuck, I haven't. I'm not a hot dog guy.
Yeah, no. There's too many options that are way too good. Okay. This is a good one. Stump Ron question.
Okay.
In the movie BMX Bandits, what are the 2 lead characters' names?
Oh, fuck. First of all, I love that question because most people don't know about that movie because that movie was made before Rad.
Which is a great movie. Crew Jones.
Yeah, Crew Jones. Everyone remembers Rad and Crew Jones, and that's what got everyone into BMX. But BMX Bandits is like before that. I think a couple years before that, and it's Australian if I remember correctly. I thought it was made in Australia actually, but Nicole Kidman's in it.
I don't even know about this movie.
Yeah,
Nicole Kidman was in it.
Nicole Kidman's like I think she's, I don't know, fuck. It'd be really weird to see her because she might not even be 18 years old.
Right, she's like 11.
Yeah, it's like when you see Commando and Alyssa Milano as a little girl.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, Alyssa Milano's like 9.
Yeah,
it's like weird. Yeah, so yeah, anyways, Nicole Kidman's in that movie. I don't remember the guys' names. It's something stupid like Top Gun, you know?
Oh, so they had like call names almost.
Yeah, like they go by nicknames, right? It's like in Rad, he's a Crew, right? You know.
Right.
But yeah, it's like one of those. I don't remember their names though. But Nicole Kidman's in it. Terrible fucking.
It was terrible.
Oh. Well, I mean, fuck, it's 1982.
What are you saying? Rad was an amazing movie.
Yeah, but that had like big time pro riders in it. Freestyle was like actually a thing at that point.
I'm like, actually, I don't even know if that's true. You ever look back at a movie, you're like, huh, not quite how I remembered it. Like I watched, I watched the original Die Hard over Christmas, and I was like, still a great movie, but you don't realize how far film has went. And I'm like,
yeah.
There's something wrong with my TV. Like looking at it, it's all hazy.
Yeah. That's as good as it got.
Yeah, that's it. That was the best back then.
That was a good question.
Yeah, see, and someone got you. I'm fucking blown away.
So I have a question.
Okay.
You.
For me.
Well, it's for both of us.
Okay.
What's the deepest rabbit hole you ever went down with training or, I don't even have my light on my pretty face. There we go. What's the deepest rabbit hole you ever went down with training or diet or something? And then suddenly you realized it was stupid and you just scrapped the whole thing.
Oh, and how much research you put into it?
No, like you kind of committed to it. Like, hey, fuck, I'm going to do this. And you start doing it and you're like, oh, this sucks. Am I doing this right? This can't be, you know what I mean? And then you wind up just scrapping it. I don't know.
Okay, let's think here. I was thinking more on the, because I actually, I've done a lot of research where I've done that, where, you dig in too deep in something and after a while you realize that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
you're in too deep, just like so you just keep going. Okay, so for that, the biggest thing that I got into at one point was, and I don't know why, because I actually knew better, was when everyone got on the kick of time under tension, but they were doing them backwards. So both the concentric and the eccentric were done slow.
Oh, slow concentrics.
Yeah, and that was proven to not fucking matter like a billion years ago. But I think Dennis James actually brought it back. Like randomly started putting guys through.
That's who I remember bringing it back.
And I mean, I think what it was you're looking, I don't care who you are, and this is true. No matter how much information you have, you still find yourself every now and then looking for the secret, looking for one more thing that maybe you're not doing. And it's painful. And it takes a long time. It takes a lot of focus. So during the set, it hurts. So you're like, maybe this is doing something, but you're defying everything you know about science.
Yeah. So 2 things about that. I don't believe that this is just an example. Obviously, I don't believe Dennis was doing those when he was huge.
No.
Right? It was something he was doing after.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. That's how I always look at stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like one of the best bodybuilders of all time ever, hands down, craziest, fucking nuts. And another thing is we often, and I talk to female clients about this all the time because they do it a lot. We confuse what's hard with what's effective.
Yep, for sure.
So I always say, listen, they'll be like, oh, I like to, triple set everything. I do, always do 3 exercises. And let's say their goal is to put on maximum muscle.
Right.
And you're like, well, you need to be training with let's just train with plain old straight sets for a while and get you strong.
Yeah.
Instead of running around and supersetting everything. And they go, yeah, but supersetting's harder because I get a really good sweat and my heart rate gets up and it's really hard. And I'm like, yeah, but Navy SEAL training would kill me.
Yeah, but it will not make me bigger.
Any bigger. It wouldn't add muscle to my body, right? Yeah. So it's not just about what's hard. And one of the problems I think that women have with that is women actually have really great endurance on average. If you take a woman who trains and does some cardio, they have really great endurance because they have low body weights. So women can handle a ton of volume. Mm-hmm. They're, you know what I mean? Like they're very tough. They're resilient. They can handle a lot. So when they push themselves with like triple sets and all that sort of stuff, and most of them don't train like Dana Lynn Bailey.
Right. Yeah. She's doing triple sets while at maximum poundage.
While training heavy and it's like, and doing the forced reps and the cheat reps and the partials and all that stuff. So it's just, and that's something that a lot of guys do too. They think, oh, well, this is harder, so it must be better for muscle, but that's not always the case. It's like,
right.
You know what I mean?
No, for sure. It's like the, I like the negative speed, controlling the negatives. Yeah. And I've had people who like, well, why not do a full true 6 seconds? I'm like, well, then it's a waste of time.
Right.
Like now it's too slow, and I'm putting more energy into the speed that the muscles moving, and on down the line. It's finding that point. I always compared negatives when I try to sell people on the importance of a negative is thinking of like somebody who rows boats versus like an Olympics like rings guy.
Right.
You're rowing boats all day long, but the negative portion of the movement, there's no resistance.
Yes.
And the oars are back in the water. They don't have a big back.
Yeah.
They don't have a big anything. They're strong on a row.
There's no negative.
Yeah. But they're not trying to put on muscle mass. It's kind of the same as a power lifter who's trying to stay under weight. They explode up, they drop it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want the negative. Then you go to look at like a guy who's doing the rings. If they don't control the negative, they fall. Those dudes are fucking yoked out of their minds.
Yeah, they have big triceps and big lats and big pecs and stuff.
All the muscles that are controlling those movements are huge, and they're not in the gym doing what we do. That's the control part. But yeah, on the flip, that was my move. I got into those just like you said because it was hard, and it wasn't that long, to be honest with you, because I knew the facts of how it worked already. So I did it for a minute, and I was kind of like, fuck, this is a waste of time. And the other thing that I factored in, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't love training that way. I was like, eh.
That's another thing that's hugely important. And it's, did you see that clip that Fuad put up of Branch Warren talking?
Yes.
That was a great clip, right? But, and so, that's part of Branch's character is kind of like the ultra simplification of everything, right?
Right.
But, and people often say Branch trains sloppy, but you've trained with Johnny.
Yep.
When you see them train, train with Branch. Yeah. So when you see them train, when you train with them, like, yes, they yank on the cable row and there's a ton of explosion but the handle comes back, they get it back and they don't go into it.
Yep.
And then you see the muscle take the whole negative and their lats get pulled apart. Their lats aren't relaxed during that negative.
Yeah, so
that negative, it's like yanking the lats, and they're using such a heavy poundage that they it just pulls their lats apart.
Yep.
That's what I see when I watch them do one-arm dumbbell rows and stuff.
Right.
So it might be a different type of style of training to say how, Flex Lewis moves weights or whoever, but the negative is still there.
Right.
The common thread with all the guys that are huge is they're not giving up the negative.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm always amazed with guys when they can. You ever see somebody like when they're on a bench in the gym, they boom, and I'm like, all I can think of is I couldn't commit to that with 135. I couldn't just tell my body, go limp like a fucking noodle and let this thing drop through your chest, then somehow rebound and push it back. Like, I'm not even talking about injury. I could not get my brain to be like, go. I mean, it's like they let it go. Like,
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, power lifters are interesting because some guys squat down very slowly. Mm-hmm. They're using those crazy poundages, so they like ratchet down almost. You know what I mean? But then there's some guys that have a pretty fast drop.
Yeah, and that'll throw you off if you're not used to that. I know when Brandon Allen was doing that 900 for the first time in sleeves, he missed the first rep because he went too quick.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a weight thing. It almost surprised him at the bottom.
Yeah.
And what's funny was it wasn't sloppy. I mean, 900 pounds, you're not just dropping it, but it was definitely quicker. And then when I watched him do it correctly, you're like, oh, that was a full 1 count slower. And then it was just butter, Right. It was within control the whole time. So yeah, very, very interesting. What was your rabbit hole?
Oh, I've gone down a few. I went down a few in the early days that might have not been like productive, but they were fun and I learned a lot.
Right.
Like I remember when I was in high school, I did the Bulgarian Power Burst training program that I ordered out of Muscle Mag. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I did like one of those Ellington Darden books, like Huge in 42 Days or whatever. I followed like that,
42 days.
Yeah. And
it's funny to hear that now. You're like, get huge in a month.
You know what else I did? I did the training program, which was just, looking back on it, was just crazy volume. Mm-hmm. It was like an Arnold program from the 70s. But I did the Cybergenics program.
Oh my God. Was that the one that with Rusty Jeffers on the box? Was that?
No, Franco Santoriello.
Okay.
And he looked awesome. He was like a phenom. He was like an amazing bodybuilder back in the day. And he was like in his early 20s when he got famous. But Franco Santoriello on the box. And I did the Cybergenics program. It was like 6 days a week, everything twice, huge volume. Like it was crazy. But I
like to look back at those, right, and see those, because I saw someone posted. It might have even been Milos himself, but I think it was someone else had put up a post, a picture of like the old Flex magazines, and Milos saying, if you want to get big, you have to train 6 days a week. And it was like, you have to. This is, you know what I mean? I'm thinking, I wonder how much bad advice we've all taken out of magazines back in the day.
Yeah.
You have to do this. And that's obviously in the 90s. So it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah. No, but the reason I don't consider those like bad decisions or anything is obviously it wasn't made at a state in my life when like it made me lose a show or anything.
Well, and the thing is, I think in some ways you learn how to train hard.
Oh yeah. You're like, I gotta make this program work. It's a motivational thing. So like you said, you didn't enjoy certain things, so you dropped them. Mm-hmm. It's also, I remember starting the Cybergenics program. I was so fucking excited.
Right.
I was like, fuck, tomorrow is day one, and just smashing every workout and like eating my face off. And like, I remember it was like super motivational. Right. To be doing it. So it was actually a good thing. It probably wasn't the best program, probably a whole bunch of stuff wrong with it. But but it was just, you can't just hand out one size fits all programs
Yeah.
But it was funny. It got me training my ass off. I was in the gym 6 days a week when I was in high school.
I feel like that's something that a lot of people could use though. Like I've been talking to a few people that are in the game pretty deep, and with everything that's been going on with COVID and everything, have kind of lost it. It's almost like the fire was burning so hard to get back in the gym, and then once they kind of got back in, it was like they're not clicking. You know what I mean? So it's almost like that's what someone like that needs, the program you hand to them and be like, do this.
Right.
Get stronger. You know what I mean? It's almost like go all the way back to your basics
Yeah.
And remember to love you versus gravity.
Yeah. That's we've talked about that before, man. You gotta sometimes you gotta just shave everything away and just strip it down to like the three key things, eat, sleep, and train for a while. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, yeah, I also think that some of those like kind of crazy programs are good when you're young because, well, you're young and you could handle anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you could train 6 days a week and squat twice a week and deadlift twice a week and everything.
Totally.
Yeah. And then another thing too is like the older I get and the more people we coach, I guarantee you agree with me, you start to see more of the value. You're like, oh yeah, fuck, that was such a good metaphor. Was that whole thing about the Karate Kid? Wax on and wax off.
Yep.
Just making you appreciate the mundane, the hard work, the grind. You don't want to do it, but you got to do it. Like you have to like condition yourself for that. And I remember, you remember when you first saw the Karate Kid, like, that's the message of the movie is he builds discipline into him, right? Yeah. He builds work ethic into him and all that focus and just all that stuff where you're not all jumbled in your head. And so that's a great metaphor for what you have to do with training too, is, sometimes you just got to like work really hard for a while and appreciate it.
Right. No. And that's the thing, you get back to loving that work and that's when it all pays off too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. This is a good one. One of my training partners. What's your heaviest stage weight ever? And did it translate into being your best stage look, or at least the favorite look you brought?
My two heaviest stage weights are a pound apart, and they had opposite ends of that answer.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, a pound apart, opposite ends of the answer.
So I was a legitimate 266 on stage. Like I weighed myself in my hotel room with my trunks on and then went down to the stage at the North Americans. Mm-hmm. And it was my worst placing ever.
Right. That's the first time I met you.
Was it? Yeah.
2013?
That was a fucked up. 2013 was the most fucked up show of my life. And I'll tell that story if you want. I might have already. But and then I remember being 265 the year before. Mm-hmm. And it was the best I ever did at North Americans. And everyone was coming up to me and they're like, fuck, you look good. And like Chris was so happy. And like Chris was pissed I didn't place better.
Right, of course.
he thought I should have got a pro card. And I was like, well, fuck, I didn't disagree with him. But because I thought I should have won the 35 masters class.
Right.
And I got second. And I was like, fuck. And then that guy won the over 35 overall.
So it was right there. Yeah.
And I had 2 first place votes. So it wasn't a wipe.
3-2.
Yeah.
Right.
It was 3-2. So I was like, fuck. And then I looked at some of the pictures after and I was like, fuck. I was kind of upset about that one. But anyways.
It's bad when you look at the pictures and you went from being like, that's okay, to like, motherfucker.
Yeah. Anyways, I think I got those years right. Anyways, that's how it goes sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might have got the years flip-flopped. I can't fucking remember.
Yeah.
But
so my heaviest was 270. Not my favorite look, but probably my best look.
Right.
And the reason I say that is it sounds so corny, but it's actually true. When you're not Phil Heath, you really bodybuild for yourself. And I have a look that I like to bring in. And at 270, I was not sliced out of my mind. But I did see that a lot of my weaknesses, my legs and things, stayed bigger.
Right.
Overall, I just was really, really big. But of course, for me and what I like, it wasn't hard enough.
Right.
But I think in reality, had I come down 7 pounds and been sliced out of my head and competed against myself at 270, I think the judges would have given the 270 version the win.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
yeah.
very tricky, but I think that that's something that is kind of an advantage when you go into shows is like, I really want to love the way I look. I don't want to agree with the judges when they tell me it sucked.
Right.
you know, so yeah, that was my best look according to them, but not according to me. There's something to me, you get street cred from everyone in the world when you're nasty. I don't care if you're 160 pounds. I've seen dudes at local shows come out literally bantamweights, and I'll walk backstage and I'm like, that's disgusting.
I do.
You're a sick fuck.
I try to do that. I try to do that at every show. I try to make a point to give the guys that look like they really prepared some sort of credit, you know. And there's like, you'll see them, you're like, oh fuck, that guy looks really good. Like, yeah, let's go over and go, man, you're in good shape, you know. Just say something, especially at the local shows and stuff, you know, because like I remember being at those shows and just fucking.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're smaller, because you know, like. Yeah. You can't discredit like, okay, then I'm just going to get sliced out of my head. And you know this is true, either when they're natural or haven't done much for long, the amount of detail that's in a dude that's sliced in like 160 pounds is like, it's mind-boggling. Like, they got lines I don't even have anymore. So
no, there's no scar tissue.
Yeah, exactly. True story.
A bold and battle-ready focus formula that takes no prisoners and shows no mercy.
Okay. Oh, damn. Oh, that could be a bad one. Tell us a bad date story, Dusty.
Oh, shit. Okay, let me think here. I'm cautiously erasing some. Don't use that. Can't use that. Let's think. God, see, so many of my stories are just not fit for radio.
Oh, come on.
Let's think. Okay, bad date stories.
It's got to be one.
Oh no, there's lots. There's lots. Okay, I'm gonna go way back. Because I wouldn't say it was completely a bad story because it worked out. But so when I was 17, no, I was 18 because I didn't have any money anymore. That's right. On my 18th birthday, my dad took all my money away. So
okay.
That was kind of shitty. And I was so I'd been with the same girl for a couple of years, which is good. Kind of saved the day a little bit. But it started off as a bad date story because I came by to pick her up at her house. And when I got there, I had to inform her that I didn't have enough money for us to go eat and have enough gas to get there and back to go eat. So the first 40 minutes of our date was scrounging her parents' house, stealing change. But we finally hit the mother load when I picked her brother's lock on his door, and he had a giant change jar. So he was missing about $25 from that bad boy because I filled the bitch up. But
oh man, that's funny.
that was how we started the date that night. I was like, we're gonna be a little late because either we're gonna make it, and by the way, the fancy dinner was Del Taco because I was that fucking broke. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, it was a big victory because I ended up filling my truck. We both got to get chili cheese fries that night because there was extra money stolen, and yeah.
Oh my god, that's actually pretty funny.
I've had some humble beginnings, sir.
Yeah, no, that's good. Look where you are now. You know, I trust you around my change jars, Dusty.
you can now. Yeah, not
I
your
know.
dog. I'll steal the dog.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I sent you a cute dog meme this week.
Yes, you did, and I immediately was on it.
That's where our friendship has gone to. People think we talk about hardcore bodybuilding, and in reality,
burrito.
I sent him a clip of a Yorkie rolling herself up in a blanket that looks like
a tortilla
to make a doggy burrito. And I sent him this cute video and he hearts it.
I did. I had to. I would have. I wish though, because it was so good. I wish. Do you remember when Instagram had the orgasm of hearts, where there was 50 of them when you touched it?
Oh yeah, the explosion.
And everyone was like, I didn't like it that much.
Right. That's creepy.
I would have given you that one on the puppy burrito.
That's pretty funny. That's where our friendship is. Do I have one? So I'm willing
You're gonna go darker. I could see this. I'm proud of you.
I got a bad one. It was unfortunate. So I'm working at the bar. I'm bartending. I can't remember which bar I'm working at. I might have been bouncing. It might have been earlier on. Yes, I was bouncing. I know where I was. I was working at this nightclub, and I met this chick. She was going to law school. And because, University of Alberta is right there in Edmonton, so it's like huge school. So you meet a lot of students, and she's going to law school, and she's like real smart, and she's like super hot. And she's like chatting me up at the door, and I'm like, is this chick like, okay, I'm
going to let you in.
Yeah. So anyways, I took the hint, asked her out. So I can't remember if I picked her up or we met at the restaurant. We met at Earl's. And we met at Earl's. And just have appies and a drink, I think it was the plan. She has, oh, fuck, man, 8 double gins.
She had plans for you.
No. It got to the point where I was like, oh, she's an alcoholic.
And your job was to pay for her alcohol.
No. She was cool about that, but she was just because she was still like stone cold sober, man.
After 8 doubles,
she wasn't drunk, and I was putting it together. Like she's pounding double gin and tonics, and I'm like nursing my second beer because I got to drive, and she's just like sucking back double gins, and she's not slurring her words. She's not acting weird. She's not getting drunk, and I'm just thinking, holy fuck. Okay. She's a hard drinker.
Right.
Cause I would see her on the weekend, like once every weekend she'd come out. So I knew she partied once a week, but I'm like, oh, she drinks every fucking day. And then anyways, we went back to her place and I opened the fridge, dude, nothing in the fridge. Nothing, man, except a bottle of ketchup, a box of eggs, a big jug of water, a 2-liter of tonic, and 3 2.6s of gin. That's all that's in her fridge. There's no fucking food in there, man. And there's 3 bottles of gin chilling. God, always.
Because they have to be ready. Those have to be fucking ready.
Yeah, like they're not in the cupboard, man.
There's not one in the fridge and 2 in the cupboard.
They're just in the fridge. Just put them all in the fridge, like my egg whites. Just line them up and go through them so fast. I just have them all in the fridge. Yeah, she was a drinker, man.
That's fucking.
And I was like, okay, like this, I can't date this girl. Like I can't.
You already saw all the things went off.
Yeah, I had 2 beers and I was like, fuck, should I like? And she's just like, seems fine. Seems completely fine.
Not to have your 3rd beer because you need to drive.
Yeah. It was fucked up, man.
Oh,
and
my
God. I was like, I didn't say anything. And then like looking back, I was like, sure, I made a joke. Like, man, you can sure handle your booze. But I was just like in awe.
Was that the last time you went out with her?
We went out one more time.
Yeah. You're fun anyway, so we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, I went out one more time. It's just one of those things.
God,
you gotta have more. You can't be like, I just could never date a chick that was just like,
that'd be a ton. Especially if they get hammered, you're like, oh, good, you're normal. That fucked you up.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned if it doesn't fuck you up. I agree with you on that one for sure.
I remember back in the day, when it was way more common for girls to smoke.
Right.
Whenever I'd meet a girl, because I was working at the bar, right? So whenever I saw a girl that I was like, oh, fuck, I like that girl, I'd always be like, fuck, what are the odds she smokes?
Right.
I always have to be like, because it was like 50-50.
Yeah, I'm not into licking the ashtray myself either, so.
You know what I mean. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Bodybuilding. No mind muscle connection or pump feeling in the biceps without getting into a 30 rep range, but I can light my triceps up with the first 2 or 3 movements. Any suggestions?
Is he doing well? Obviously, there's something kind of wrong or just not very well wired going on.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that he just doesn't fire his biceps easily, or it could be that he needs to get them worked on. Like maybe that would help. Like I would go get Graston done or active release therapy or something done to your biceps just to see if the next time you train them, like, you've had your calves worked on, right? And then the next time you train him, what happens?
Yeah.
Right. So maybe he should get his biceps worked on and see if that helps. Is he doing a stretch movement? You know what I mean? Like a slide.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, something really open up. I used to love those, real light, but
something like that. Or also, is he training his biceps properly? That's another thing. Yeah, but I'm just going to assume that the form's good enough.
Yeah, that's the thing is a bicep is almost, even if you do it wrong.
Right. Everyone
like at the end of your, because I'll do something like at the end of a barbell curl where I get to like my 13th, 14th squeeze rep, and I'll blast out 6 more. But just fucking boom.
It's a little
those
hits,
6 are fucking brutal. Like, you're glad you did them for the bicep, even though everything else got involved. So yeah. Another thing nowadays is try that newbie machine, because that's something it actually does is work on if a muscle's not actually being fired at all, or a specific area of a muscle. That's something to look at. I had that done the first time I ever used one. They put it on my back and literally could show you, like, you see how this isn't working? Yes. Like, you can feel it. They work on it for a few minutes, do a couple things. Okay, now do it. And you're like, and like you said, then the pump is gnarly, So good option for sure. We had a lot of arm questions on that.
Okay. Is it your turn?
It's always my turn. Okay. If you could have 6 hours of sleep or 4.5 and go to the gym, which is a better option? This obviously isn't happening every day, but once a week I'm usually faced with a decision.
Good question. I like how he was very specific. I saw Fuad and the boys wrestling with this, but the question wasn't as specific. It was like, which is more important, sleep or training or something like that. I can't remember. So it was like, there was no guideline.
Yeah. So this you got a good guide, and you're looking at an hour and a half, and you're looking at once a week.
If it's once a week, I mean, it all depends on whether or not the workout can be productive. So if you start doing it and then your body starts regressing, then that's a no. So your feedback should ultimately tell you, if you do it and you have a decent workout and you continue to progress and the rest of your workouts are great, it's like, oh, maybe that's fine. So there are some other factors. I will often tell people that sleep trumps food.
Oh, for sure.
And what I mean by that is if they have let's say you got a little bit behind, well, there's always a way around it, but if you get a little bit behind on your meals and, you go, I hear guys like, I had to stay up till 2 to finish my food. And I was like, should just gone to bed, man.
Yeah.
You'll grow better. Or try to just pound a shake before bed or something and just go to bed. Like I don't stay up to eat. That's not something I ever did.
What about, did you ever interrupt sleep to eat like the guys were doing back in the day?
Yeah, I never did it with meals. I did it with shakes.
Right. So you get up, just slam it, go back to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. I did it with high calorie shakes when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'd do is I'd make sure I drank like fluid with my last meal. So I know I'd have to get up to take a piss.
So you wouldn't set an alarm. You'd make yourself have to piss. And then when you're up,
and I'd always, you get up to piss at like 4 a.m. and slam your shake, go back to bed, get up at 8 or 9, you're fine. So I did that a lot when I was young.
Yeah, that's funny because I tell people the same thing even that are trying to grow. Like, put that shake in the fridge, but you don't have to have it.
Yeah.
Like, if you sleep through, good. Yeah, because you know that. I mean, I know we've both experienced that where sleep will prove that to you around a show. You show up, you're full of water, you got this or that going on, you sleep real good, you wake up the next day, magically it's gone. You look better, you're popping,
Yeah. Sleep's awesome.
Huge. I don't know anything about it, but I've heard about it. I
got a good one.
Shoot.
Now, I almost skipped this one for some reason, and then I thought of my answer, and I was like, oh, fuck, I better ask this one.
I have a good answer. We're doing this.
So, stupidest peak week trick or backstage carb up you've ever used? You've seen used. Oh, okay. I thought it was we've ever used. Let's explore that question.
Got it. I mean, I've seen just ridiculous things done. Swinging for the fences, the alcohol, being a big one the night before. The most common, of course, is the magical rice cakes and jam backstage that everyone's eating. I find those ones really funny because you're watching people like graze backstage on bullshit. Like, always, that baffled me before I knew what I was doing, because I'm like, so we spent 12 weeks, 16 weeks eating 6 times a day at certain times, and we would look great the whole prep. And all of a sudden, we need to just eat bullshit nonstop for an hour straight before we go on stage. Weird to me.
Yeah.
You know, but I've seen it all. I've seen chocolate. I've seen that. I've seen alcohol backstage, people drinking. I mean, nothing that really jumps. And then the big one being, I've actually seen a trainer with a client like going through a fucking workout and eating during like peanut butter cups and shit because he's gonna drive that stuff in. And that was at that was at Junior Nationals actually. And I'm dead serious. I'm sitting on an incline bench like this, just watching. And I'm like, this motherfucker's having a workout.
Yeah. That's a lot.
And they were like amped up about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you do like a couple sets of side laterals and eat nothing and take your shirt off and they're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. It's funny because if you are like, let's say you are emergency flat.
Right.
The solution is drinking and sodium.
Yep.
And if you have liquid carbs in that fluid, that's also cool. But eating so here's what drives me crazy.
The digestion doesn't even take place.
Yeah.
Before you
So
get
when
up there.
like liquid carbs work, water works, so salt inner water works.
Mm-hmm.
Those things work very but when I see guys backstage and they're on, like I remember seeing this one super heavyweight one year, and he was a good bodybuilder. He was like the type of guy that had the muscle to be a threat. Right. And he was in good shape. But he was sitting there eating this giant Tupperware dish full of steak, like big cubes of steak and big cubes of baked potato. And it was massive. It was like a whole day's worth of food in one Tupperware dish. Like it was a giant Tupperware dish. It's the one that I put all my steak in when I cook.
Right.
And he was just eating, just plowing. And we're on in like a few hours.
You're watching this take place.
He's plowing steak and potato, and his abdomen is just out to here. And he's got the tub like sitting on his belly.
Because it can by this point.
And I'm just thinking like, oh man, that steak and potato is not going to do anything for your body.
No.
And it's just going to make you look like shit, and you're going to be bloated, and you're like, I just couldn't believe he was doing that. And I was like, if you're actually flat, he's got to like drink or put some carbs in, or drink a Gatorade or something, or some cluster dextrin would be great with some sea salt in it or something, and some water, but
maybe he was just hungry.
Yeah, man. It's just like, so that sort of stuff. Cause steak takes 8 to 10 hours to digest.
Oh yeah. That's always that's the whole reason that you tell people. They're like, well, you can't absorb more than 30 grams of protein at a time. I'm like, well, it's not trying to absorb it at a time. It's trying to absorb it over the next 5 hours.
Yeah. He ate like 30 ounces of potatoes and like the easy 20 ounces of steak.
He ate a day's worth of food.
So he was just shoveling. So that stuff isn't going to help you. It's little things. You already have to be in shape. You already have to be carbed up. You can like do little things that make your veins pop out a little bit when you go to pump up and stuff. Like you had those 2 Pop-Tarts walking to prejudging that one morning, but that's it. You put 2 Pop-Tarts in and you're done. You're ready to go, and you're not backstage doing frantic shit, and you're not like, oh, how long went by? You were like 2 hours till you went on stage, right? Yeah,
it's something where, why I like that stuff? Because I need, of course, with my midsection, there can't be a lot of food in me.
Yeah, very little food.
So I want something. So there's a lot of fat and carbs in those.
Yeah.
And they're those 2 are about the size of my cell phone.
And there's a bunch of salt in there.
Yeah. So you're good to go. And you're not, I think the big thing is too with those tricks that people forget, anything that can make you better can make you worse.
Yes. Very important.
Keep that in mind when you're deciding it's time to swing for the fences. It's like, why?
Yeah.
And that goes all the way down to a week out. Like if you should already be in such good shape that the tweaks can only make you better, but you never need to swing for the fences. Like, I'm fucked. This is either going to work or not work.
Right.
You know, because the problem is every now and then it works and then people believe in it. They're like, oh, that's the system. You know what I mean? Like, oh, fuck. Yeah. I've never missed by a mile because I've never done anything crazy.
Right.
Okay. This is one that you need, that we should actually cover. How did you get a sponsorship when you first got one? And how did that change things for you in the sport once you did?
Okay, so looking back on this, it was like pretty early. I was a little bit I was on the very early stage of this shit. So in what would it have been? What show would I have been getting ready for? It would have been in 97 when I went to get ready for my first show.
Right.
Obviously I'd already spent time in Australia, with my friends there, and like they worked for a supplement company. So I they sponsored guys, and I was exposed to all the inside stuff of like how that worked. Mm-hmm. And it was a very local type sponsorship. You know what I mean? Like they'd pick their stuff up from one of the stores and they'd reimburse the store. And so I knew that there was a way to get free stuff.
Right. So
when I went to compete my first time, I went to the health food store that was downtown where I got all my supplements. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I'm wondering if you guys would be interested in sponsoring me. And I told them what I would need. And the lady there was just like so awesome and receptive. And she was like, sure. And she got me all these t-shirts printed, and I got free supplements for my whole prep, and I won the show. And then they put a picture of me up on the wall. And so I just had like a supplement store that sponsored me.
Right.
And they continued to give me free stuff. And then I went back, I left town again, went to Australia again. And then I came back a year later, and they kept giving me, they're like, oh, you're back in town. And they kept giving me free stuff. And then I, moved away shortly after that. But yeah, they were awesome, really supportive. So that was my first sponsor. And I just, they just wanted me wearing the shirts at the gym, and people would come up to me all the time. They'd be like, where'd you get your supplements?
Right.
And I just tell them, and I sent lots of people down there. So it was just kind of one of those deals. So that was my first experience with being sponsored. And, I'd also seen, when I used to do BMX and ski, I also saw sporting goods stores were sponsoring like a couple of local people.
Right.
Like a couple of guys at the ski hill that were like really good skiers, or they were ski instructors or something. They like sponsor them.
Right.
So I saw that before. Yeah. So that was it. That was my first sponsorship. And then after that, when I moved to Edmonton, I started writing letters to supplement companies.
Right.
So I remember I took photos of my second place from nationals and my Alberta win. And I took photos from those two shows, and I wrote up a resume and a letter, mm-hmm. and I sent it to Jim at PVL.
Right.
Because it was before Fit Foods. It was just PVL at the time. Mm-hmm. So I sent it to Jim, and I sent it to Muscle Tech, and I sent it to like all these places.
Right.
And didn't hear back from anybody. And then a few months later, the PVL rep, so the Fit Foods rep for the area, mm-hmm. contacted me and was like, hey, because I kind of knew him. And he's like, hey, I know you tried to get sponsored and they're not really sponsoring anybody, but I'll sponsor you. I get I can give you some overstock. I can give you this and that. Right. And so all I had to do was twice a year I did a demo at a store.
Right.
It was nothing. And this is, you know what I mean? So I did that for a little bit. That was my second sponsorship. Then I got sponsored by BioX for 7 years. BioX is a Canadian company, and the rep was really cool. And he just sent me product for 7 years. And then they even started chipping in for my flights to nationals and stuff.
Right.
And then I got signed by Muscle Tech, and I did the old Muscle Tech stint that every single fucking person from Canada did at one point. And got flown out to the Muscle Tech headquarters a bit, and that was pretty cool. They were just a giant corporation, though. Every time I went out there, I was dealing with different people, right?
Right, yeah.
And very corporate, like the ultimate level of corporate style.
Right.
That was a fake dumbbells and everything were in there. And then they had this awesome gym though. They had an awesome gym in their office. And then and then that's after that I didn't have a sponsor for a bit, and then that's when I got signed with Mutant. Back to PVL. Just kind of how I was like years and years before that.
Full circle.
Yeah.
That's classic. And how did Mutant find you the second time?
I was just standing backstage at a show because I had a client, and I was out here in Vancouver.
Okay.
Visiting, and I had a client. That's the guy that got last place, but he won the most shredded award.
Okay.
So he I was backstage helping him, and that's when Matt and Ryan came up to me.
Right.
And they're like, "Hey, you going to nationals next year?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay, let's talk." And that's how it started.
What year was that?
2011.
Okay. So wasn't that far before? That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. I mean, I could run through the jam of how to do it or how my story went, but I think what's really important now is how guys would go about it. I've owned supplement stores. I've had people come in and ask for sponsorship. And I think the big miss for most people is they come in like, and here's what it sounds like to a business owner. Hey, can I have some free money?
Yeah.
Like, you've got to have a plan, because here's the end of the day. You're an advertising expense. It's very, very simple. Are you creating either branding, which at a phase where you don't know this stuff yet, you're not, or are you creating them sales they would not have? Right. And your sales that they would not have need to probably be at least 3 times what they are willing to give you in product or pay you to make it worth their while. So that's the big catch is, what are you doing? You know, so many people are coming out and they're like, oh, well, I win shows and I use your stuff all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. And especially now the game has changed. I mean, I joke about it, but it's a semi joke that's actually serious, is like, how many people make sure they evenly distribute their sauces on their food? Because that's something I put out there. How many people know the jokes about square plates? Because I'm obsessed with square plates. Like, that's branding, that's marketing. So when you go from one company to another, they come with you.
Yeah.
You know, I was with my first sponsor for 7 years, started with them for nothing. Then I got, product, then $500 a month, then $1,500 a month, then $3,000 a month, and it just kept going.
Yeah.
And then when I left them, because of the years of branding I did for them, and it's kind of, I get teased about it by people even to this day, is if you see me, I'm going to be wearing a Mutant shirt. Unless I'm out at dinner, you're going to see me in a Mutant t-shirt. It's just what I do. It's like my fucking uniform every day.
Yeah.
But it's funny, but at the same time, it's the reason that when I left iForce and I hit up 3 companies, there you go, all 3 of them said yes.
Right.
So it was, okay, who are we going to go with? Who's the best fit? So I think that's the big thing. If you're looking for ways to get sponsorship, it's, what do you bring to the table? And ask yourself if you bring anything yet.
And also, too, I mean, people don't realize, man, people talk.
Mm-hmm.
People talk. I called guys, like, I called guys that are up here to ask them about guys that were here.
Right.
Hey, man, this person wants to come on with our company. What do you think? I know that you train around them. I know that you've worked with them. I just need a little inside. And I've had the person up here go, nah, man, I wouldn't spend my money on that guy.
Right. Yep.
They're talking. The pros, the other people at companies, if you're chronically fucking late for everything and you're no fun to work with, or you can't get along with people, or you go out and get drunk and come to the booth late, you spend all your time trying to wheel chicks at other booths and you're not around, you're not paying attention. Like, it's just, it all gets seen by somebody.
And you know this, it goes the other way as well, because when you and I talked, there were some people from my business side that didn't like me and told you that. But I had too many people who did like me from the bodybuilding side, so it was a wash.
Yeah.
Because Dusty in business and Dusty in the business of bodybuilding is different.
Yeah.
And I'll fire my mother. That doesn't bother me at all. So that that came out when you guys were first looking. Remember, you were like, "Hey, somebody said this." I'm like, "Yeah, that's true."
Yeah. And it was funny. And then it's also too a credit to Ryan. Because Ryan, I said, well, I'm going to have to tell Ryan this story.
Right.
I'm going to have to. Like, I can't not tell him.
Yeah, leave this one out.
So I go to Ryan, I go, hey, this email just came in from this dude telling a story about Dusty that's negative, but I got to make you aware of it. And he reads it and he goes, that's supplement business. He gives it back to me. And I'm like, he's like, Dusty's got he goes, I could see why that would happen. And, Dusty probably did this and I would have done the same fucking thing. Like he just, I can't even remember the story.
Right.
That's the funny thing is I cannot even remember what the email was, but I just remember that it was clearly an angry dude.
Yeah.
And like, we're smart enough to see like, oh, okay, this is like the ex-wife writing the letter that,
Right.
Right. And so then when I showed it to Ryan, Ryan's like, yeah, that's an ex-wife letter. That's an angry ex-wife. Like, that's just how it goes.
Shit happens. But that's why you want enough buildup on the other side so that it does become a wash. So people go,
exactly.
Well, because at the end of the day, this is true too, is if everyone likes you, you have a problem.
Yeah. It's good to be well liked, but you definitely,
there's definitely a line somewhere where you're like, oh, okay, you're a strong personality. You're going to piss some people off. You know what I mean? We gotta get through here. Oh, well, this one doesn't. This is a quick one, so I'm just gonna knock it out real quick. A guy asked about last week with Chris and not covering his tattoo. Can tattoos hurt you? Say if two guys are equal in every way. So the thing that when Chris said you could barely see his, guys have to understand it's on his forearm. It's not covering any detail. It doesn't matter. I never covered my forearms either. Now that I have one that goes up on my shoulder, I would cover it. There's a difference in the gym in what I can see in a mirror with a tattoo. So it absolutely matters. The cool thing is, and the reason that we're fortunate that the game has changed, like, for example, Liquid Sunrays has a tattoo cover-up that is ridiculous.
Yeah, the advancement in the last few years has been crazy.
Yeah, you cannot, they got a picture up of a guy with a full back piece. And when he's hitting his rear double, you can't see shit.
Yeah.
Because there's so much tattoo. And then they did the cover up, and right underneath of it, they posted it again. And you're like, oh, that fucker's in shape.
Yeah, no, I had a dude,
I
had a dude that got his back covered, and Morgan got his leg covered.
Yep.
And like some crazy, and they did a great job. It looked awesome,
Yeah, Morgan's a prime example because his entire leg is done.
Yeah.
And you don't even know on stage, and that detail is all there that is lost. So to answer the question, I don't suggest going and getting covered in tattoos if bodybuilding is your thing. But if you have some, or you got, or you really want one, just keep that in mind that you have to spend that money, because it at the higher level it will cost you. It will cost you for sure.
Especially leg and back pieces.
Yep.
Yeah, they're the ones you have to cover the most. If you like had to only cover the most important ones, I'd say leg and back pieces.
Plus, I think anything that's distracting. Like, one thing that I can't stand is like if a woman has a big tattoo like in the middle of her thigh, it's also just I'm looking at it.
Right. Yeah.
You
cover
want
up.
Me to look at all of you. It's like the same reason you shouldn't come out on stage with pink hair. Like, don't take away from the whole picture. That's what you don't want to do. So getting those covered is important for sure.
Here's a good one. Here's a good one from my buddy Kyle. Because he just, this motherfucker just snapped a lat pull down, like a heavy duty, thick band. The lat pull downs that have like the big bands on them.
Right.
He just snapped one of those.
Oh, fuck, did he almost kill himself?
And he goes, what's the worst equipment failure you've seen or heard of in the gym, and what was the end result?
Well, I can tell you the worst one that happened to me. I snapped a barbell right at the end, which doesn't even make sense. Right where the piece meets the bar. Yeah. I snapped one of those, and fortunately, it was like everyone's ready for the big story. I was warming up. It was 4 plates, and I just came off the ground. And I was probably 2 inches above, and it still almost threw me.
Oh, you were deadlifting?
I was deadlifting.
Oh.
So I came
Fucking
down,
lucky.
and you know how I touch. It's like it barely even makes sound. But as soon as I came up, it snapped right there.
Wow.
Fell over, pulled me to the left, but thank God I wasn't
Yeah, you're only 2
overly
inches off the
far.
ground.
And
Yeah.
the crazy part to me was 405 doesn't even bend the bar.
Yeah, it was like
It
ready
was
to
just
go.
that piece was done. But I remember thinking, like, if I had 7 plates on that and was halfway up, it would have been a fucking disaster. And at the time, my friend owned the Gold's Gyms here, and he happened to be there, and he was like, "Oh shit!" Like they went through all of their bars at that point because I'm like, "Yeah, that was scary." That was my career almost.
I've never heard of that. Yeah, that's
They shouldn't break there though. If you know how a bar is, it doesn't even make sense because it's not a piece and a piece. It goes through.
Yeah. It's a weird failure, but that happens, man. Like equipment failures happen.
Yep.
You know, it just, they are going to happen. Something from every brand is going to just fail.
Mm-hmm.
Some cables are going to fail right after you have them replaced. Like we had cables replaced and like 2 weeks later they broke again. And they were like Life Fitness brand cables, like we ordered from them.
Yeah. And for the record, those aren't cheap.
No, they're like $180 a cable or $250 a cable sometimes to get them shipped and all that. And so stuff is going to break. I saw a guy back at my first gym when I was a kid doing lat pull downs, and the fucking cable snapped, and he hit himself in the nose with the bar, and he fell over backwards, and he was bleeding,
of course. But
he just, you sign a waiver that says, hey, like, as long as the gym's taking, reasonable due diligence to maintenance their equipment and all that, like it's pretty hard to sue people over that stuff.
Right.
So, but I don't know, up in here, down in the States, you guys sue about everything.
Yeah, we still win that. You would still, actually, what's funny, true story, you would lose that suit here.
Yeah.
Even with the sign thing, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the people that stuff usually happens to are the ones that they understand like that shit happens.
Yeah. But
I know Matt
broke a fucking pull down.
No, so Matt was running a gym at one point, and a guy was doing dumbbell press on a ball. It popped. 150 pounds per side, spiral fractured both forearms, and he accepted them paying his hospital bills and nothing else.
Really?
Yep. Like he could have owned the place. It was LA Fitness. He could have made a fortune on that deal. But the thing is he like that ball isn't made for that. Like use your fucking head. But the problem is in the U.S., this, he wins that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Matt was literally like, when he didn't sue us immediately, I was like, give him a membership, pay his bills, call it a day. Yeah.
That's crazy. What else have I seen in the gym for equipment failure? I seen a leg extension, cable snap. The guy was okay.
Yeah.
It snapped. I've seen a few.
When your gym was export, I broke everything. So
yeah, you broke the cable row back in the old days. I've seen cable row snap. I saw a cable row snap and a guy rolled all right, like somersaulted off the back of the cable row.
As he's exploding up with a 300-pound stack that's now
gone. Snapped. He just fucking flipped off the back. I've seen that. I'm just trying to think. Oh yeah, well I had a dumbbell. I was fucking pressing dumbbells and the bolt came out of the end. I had the 120-pound dumbbells.
Oh shit!
And the bolt came out of the outside, off the outside of one of the dumbbells. So I was pushing up, and I knew the dumbbell was loose, but I couldn't get the bolt. It was like a fucked up dumbbell.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I guess I'll just press it. So I was pressing it, and all the plates fucking slid off the outside of that dumbbell. So the dumbbell turned inward and just fell, and I steered it, and it landed right on my chest.
You're also lucky you didn't fall off the other side of the bench with the other 120 pounds.
Yeah, no, I had the other dumbbell up above me. It was like fucked up. And so, I just bailed on the other dumbbell, dropped that, and dropped it, and I was totally fine. It didn't even hurt. It was like I was huge. I just had a big hoodie on, poof.
You just proved the importance of your stability training, your functional training.
Out, Had my glutes activated while I was incline pressing, you know. I had some stability there. Yeah, I seen that. I seen a Smith machine bearing blow up while a guy was squatting on it. Like he was squatting on the Smith machine and he was driving up and it just came to a grating halt.
Yep.
And the bearing just popped. And there was like ball bearings just fell out the bottom. Yeah, and the bar was like all jammed up. But then he like got out from it was only 2 plates, and he like turned it and got out from underneath it. And then after that, it was like there was no bearing. It was just loose on the end.
Yep.
No, it was just funny.
I've seen those. All right, well we got one more, but I'm stealing the question from everybody, because I have to go. But here's an important one we haven't covered. Phil Heath coming back to the Olympia.
Yeah, man.
Thoughts? What do you see it going? What do you think? I mean, I'm sure you've already listened to it all, but what were you shocked? Were you not shocked? What do you think?
I mean, I still think that Phil, like, I don't know, man. My gut tells me that if he comes back, he's a man to beat.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that. Like, I just hate. I certainly don't think anyone thinks that I'm disrespecting any of the other guys. It's like Roden's won it, and then Curry won it. But I just think Phil's a guy to beat if he comes back, especially, like, love him or hate him, because I know Phil has that polarizing effect on the fans. You got to give that guy his respect it takes to win 7 Olympias against the guys he won against. Mm-hmm. And if he's coming back and he's angry and he's hungry, he's got fire burning in him, and he's got everything clicking, and he's healthy.
Yeah.
It's Phil Heath, man.
I think the same. I mean, I really think what people are missing is, sure, he was gone for 2 seasons, but Phil didn't, number one, he didn't he was never small. Like, Phil's just a bubble of muscle always. Even when he was soft and smaller, it's still all there.
He didn't deconstruct.
Yeah, no. It's still all there. And I mean, I hate to say it, but even the guys that come back, like, only one of them was named the Gift. Only one of them won every show they touched until the Olympia, or was the Arnold or whatever, with his first show that he didn't win.
Ever.
And the thing is I just don't see Phil coming back to possibly win. Like, I think, and I hope, let me put it that way, and that, again, isn't hate on anybody else. I hope he comes out and annihilates it, because that would be a great way to do it. Just come out, because everyone was so ready, and you know this, I mean, especially in the U.S., everyone hates a winner.
Right.
And he was winning too much. So people start to dislike him. It was nice to see it felt like everyone was like, fuck yes. You know what I mean? And especially this year. I think the only downside is they got to figure out how we're going to watch it, since no one's going to be at the show.
Yeah. I know. It's funny. You talk about people hate someone who wins too much and all that stuff. I find this happens with a lot of things. Like, it happens in every subculture, in every sport, in every sort of way of life. But hindsight is 20/20, and you appreciate what you had when it's gone. Mm-hmm. And it happens all the time. Like, look at The Last Dance, that documentary that just come out. The people, like, the feeling I got when I watched that was, oh fuck, man, I didn't appreciate these guys at the time. Like, I liked them and I watched the games and they were winning and it was cool. But to look back on it now is just like staggering what was actually going on. And that's how I sort of view Phil Heath's reign now. Like, at the time it was like, yeah, he's kind of narrow. He's kind of narrow.
You're finding the one thing you can pick on.
He's kind of narrow,
Granite hard marshmallow muscle.
He doesn't train his arms. He doesn't even have to train his arms in the off season,
Yeah. You find reasons to hate the guy because he's better.
And then you look, doesn't do free weights, And then you look back on the stage photos from 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2006. You're just like, Jesus, fuck.
you're like me. You're a true fan of the sport. Like, I can see memories in my head. Like, for example, the 97 Olympia video when Yates is walking from the back up and you just see his traps and all that. As I describe it, you're seeing exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Or Jay in 09 when he came out from the side and stopped. Yeah. And basically was like, this is already fucking over. You know what I mean? Or Phil when he just walks out every single time and it's just like, holy shit, just round. Like, how can you forget that? Like, I literally said, immediately, because I had one of my clients email me, how's it going to go? I said, it's no one's going to survive.
Yeah.
That's how I see this happening. I think he's going to fucking destroy everyone. No offense to these guys, but I think they know. I think if you asked Bonac and these guys, Phil at his very best, are you going to beat him now? No.
Right. How old's Phil?
It's still very young. He's got to be 37,
yeah, 36? Still in his 30s, mid-30s.
I think he's younger than me.
That's way too healthy.
but let's not remember either. Phil didn't train like you and I did to be at 36. He's never had, and that's not a shot on him. You could go longer, just like Dexter.
Yeah. Well, Phil's one of the guys that could.
Yeah, you could just keep going if you choose to. So, and again, like, Ty trained like a beast all the time. His body feels different than Phil's now. I guarantee it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope that it's everything I think it will be. But unlike the past ones, like, I knew when Jay made his like comeback year, I kind of knew. I felt like it was a good chance it couldn't happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I wasn't even shocked when it went the way it did. And I know there was the tear and blah, blah, blah. I wasn't surprised.
Right.
I really feel like if somebody said to me, is he going to be awesome or is he going to be less than? I'm going to say awesome. He's going to be nuts.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
So it'd be fun for sure. Yeah. And I need a reason to be pissed that I can't go to the Olympia this year since I skipped last year.
I think that Phil's the type of guy that's going to do every single thing he can to overcorrect the midsection criticism.
Yeah, and I don't know if you listened to his video today, but I also think he's going to overcorrect the criticism of Phil.
Yeah.
Because I've known Phil for a long time, and not like, we're enemies or buddies, but there was definitely like, it wasn't really quiet that there was things that I didn't like. And now as he started just becoming who he is, like, the respect I have for him as a human is drastically different than what it was then. I respect him as an athlete before, but I kind of thought that he put himself out there as a chump and the way he was, and he took that away. I think just based on the way he's planning on interacting with the fans, he's going to have it all this year, which also would make this a great business decision for his company. If he can do that, get that vibe going and win, well, now how do you hate him?
Yeah. It's going to be awesome.
So
it's going
everyone,
to be,
we will not see you in Vegas this December.
Yeah.
But we can all watch from home.
Well, it's been a good show, Dusty.
No
we
doubt.
got a lot of great feedback about Bumstead. That was a good interview. Thanks to Chris for coming on.
Absolutely.
A couple people were like, you should have held his feet to the fire more. I don't know why I do a Chris Aceto impersonation whenever I talk about Wyoming fans.
What does that mean? Why were his feet to the fire about what?
Oh, I ask him more, like, one guy was like, should ask him way more personal questions. Like,
you know what the difference is? Like, truthfully though, with those things, I would ask if I cared.
Yeah. So I had another great comment from a fan that said, hey, they mentioned another show, not like, I don't have time to watch other shows really. So they mentioned another show that I don't really watch. And they said that it's like, please don't do these types of stories. They're like the TMZ style, like so-and-so broke up with so-and-so.
Right.
And they're like, I'm so glad you guys don't ask people about they don't care. Like that fan's like, I'm glad you don't ask that bullshit because, so.
But it has nothing to do with us, that's the thing I look at, and I don't care why. I truly don't care.
Exactly. Like I want people to understand, Dusty, how little effort we put into these episodes.
I'm dying.
The most minimal of preparation. only absolutely what is required.
That's how we get this shit done.
Scrape 90 minutes together for you, but we feel like that's the most authentic version of us.
No, but you know what? I mean, truthfully though, too, is you are getting the questions. I mean, aside from what they ask, but even then, you're getting the questions that I want the answers to also. Because I did have many people ask about his personal life.
Yeah,
it's not your business. So fuck off. Get your own personal life.
I got no interest in doing those questions.
And I've been down that road with people doing that with me. And the even better part is, I didn't give a fuck when they wanted to know either. I would learn things about myself. I'm like, oh, didn't know that, but I was actually not even in that state that day. Okay.
That's funny. Yeah.
So next week, dude, 52 year. The year is next week.
Yeah, it's the official year, eh? That's fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, this is technically the year because I fucked up and didn't do one episode, but still.
Right. I'm looking forward to it.
No doubt.
Okay. Thanks, Dusty. Remember, everybody, it's just bodybuilding.